What is happening too?
Oh, great, man.
Nice, I love it.
So, just
So
another day.
let's start the
Yeah.
conversation, man. So Vivek and I have recently been
Sure.
hanging out, and then we had some really interesting conversations happening, right? Like right, like for instance, you had a
Right.
story too. My brother called me and he was saying, "Hey, I'm getting ready to sign up for this financial app. What should I do? Should I trust it? It's going to access all my financial records, right?" And I think we can all relate to friends and family having these conversations, or at least asking these questions.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen it more and more. I mean, we've been two guys in tech for a long time in Silicon Valley. And it's funny, you would think that your neighbors being in tech too would know everything that they know about privacy and security and how to protect their children or their family. And it kind of amazes us when they come to us with questions like, hey, is this app safe? Or how do I protect my kids from accessing sites that they should not be accessing? Or, uh, you know, hey, recently got my identity stolen because of a breach somewhere. How do I protect myself? So it's kind of interesting that, there's
Yeah,
still this fear of the unknown, of what's happening to your identity and the privacy
yeah,
behind it,
without a doubt.
right?
And
And
look, so
yeah,
where
right.
Vivek and I landed is we said, "Hey, let's do this cafe," but we didn't do this cafe. Let's do this podcast. And um,
Right.
look, most of the people we talk to aren't very technical, right? So we're sitting here talking about it, and we
Yeah.
said, "Look, the what we need to do is let's put together a podcast." I mean, we're two Silicon Valley geeks. We've been around the industry for quite some time now. We've touched a lot. We've created many products. We've definitely focused a lot of our career in security, right? But we're
Right.
also parents, we're also children, and we wanted to say, hey, let's put together a podcast, but a bit more of a relaxed atmosphere, have a cup of coffee. Let's talk about some of this tech that we have all around us in our houses, in our devices, right? As we maneuver throughout life, there's tech everywhere, right?
And sometimes it's an overabundance of tech, and you don't know, like, oh, I got all these devices at home. How do I access them? How do I protect myself from it? Like, my kids have all these apps. Even though there's privacy set, like, I don't know what they're doing on
Yeah,
Discord,
exactly.
as an example.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what they're doing on this app, right? Like so there's this fear of paranoia that starts kicking in, right? And the ubiquitous flow of information. And frankly, kids honestly are much faster than adults when it comes to embracing new technology
Yeah,
and
without a
finding
doubt.
ways around it, right? Uh, and they're more social about finding ways around restrictions and barriers than adults are, right? Um, and so I guess the approach that we've always been interested in is a sensible approach to security, what makes sense. You can't have draconian views on security saying that, no, you're not going to get access.
Yeah,
And you'll only
try.
get
I
access
don't
when
know of
I'm
any
sitting in front
parent
of you,
that's
right? Like
told their
that's
kid you're
not a
not going to
healthy
have any
environment.
access, and gotten away with it. And
Yeah.
honestly,
Good
look, the
luck with that
reality is,
conversation.
do we want to be that? Do we want to say, hey, this isn't secure, so we're going to block it 100% and not have our kids have any access to it while all their friends
Right.
are playing with this
Right.
tech and moving along? And look, I have friends who their kids are
Yeah.
10 years old and they're coding games already, right? So do I not want my kid to have that level of exposure as well, right? But there's a
It's very
cost.
true, right? That's like amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always a balance, right? We can call it a cost,
Yeah.
we can call it a balance.
Yeah.
Um, and what's
Yeah.
the right balance, right? Off that. Um, I think it also stems from a lot of personal insecurity, saying, oh, maybe my kids know more than me and I'm
Exactly.
kind of scared. So I come from that approach. So our
Yeah.
idea, obviously, of this podcast is to demystify it, and in a way, tell people what we tell neighbors who come to us all the time, asking us
Network,
for advice on what to
friends,
do with security, right?
siblings,
Like,
right?
you know,
Family, extended family.
friends,
Look, and they're serious
siblings.
conversations. Like
Yeah,
let's just
yeah,
be honest. I mean, um,
they are.
there's a lot of
Right.
learning that you and I are also going to have to do. I mean, there are,
A
I,
hundred
man,
percent.
I am overwhelmed with the amount of tech I have currently already deployed, right? I mean, I can't even tell you, I'm
Yeah.
using antivirus on I have multiple devices, PCs, iPads, right, phones. I think just about everyone does, especially in their house. Um, so we have these multiple
Right.
devices
Right.
and I have antivirus, right? And then I turn on antivirus, and like, good, I'm protected, I'm scanned, right? I have my antivirus scanning, and then I jump on a
Yeah.
website, and then my antivirus pops up and says, "Oh, we're detecting cookies or something malicious. Do you want to add,
Malicious.
you
Yeah.
know, for
Right.
just the small price of $5.99 a month or $4.99 a month? And if you sign up
Four
now,
ninety
it's
nine. You're
$1.99,
right.
for the year or whatever." But it keeps happening. Like,
Right.
there's
Right.
the sites I'm the tracking cookies, the email, so now I have
Yes.
all these
Right.
things, and that's just freaking antivirus, man. We haven't even gotten into my phone, my kids' web browsing, just because I turned on, any turned off malicious sites. Does that mean my kids are shopping,
Right.
or they're looking at something they shouldn't be looking at? They're exposing themselves, right, in ways they shouldn't on
Right.
the internet. That doesn't
Right.
antivirus doesn't protect them.
No. No. And what's stopping your kid from hopping to your neighbor's Wi-Fi? Because somehow
Yeah,
he or she
their
found the
friends.
password of your neighbor's Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
And you'll never be able to track that. Like, okay, now he's on a phone on a Wi-Fi. You think it's on your
yeah,
Wi-Fi, but it's actually your neighbor's Wi-Fi, which used to be one of the most common ways at one point of time when internet speeds were just picking up. We were dating ourselves, where B, would look
yeah.
at Wi-Fi's that had higher internet
That
speeds and then
we've been
figure
doing
ways
this,
out,
man.
right,
I
of
mean,
jumping into other
this is
people's
not a new
Wi-Fi.
story. This is something that's been happening with Gen Xers, right? And
This
now
is not
now
a new story.
you're
Yeah,
that was pre-iPhone days we were doing that kind of business stuff. So now you've got these advanced things that are
100%. Right.
literally
Yeah.
running circles around us. And then I want to figure out all these different things, right? And I have a home Wi-Fi router. I have my banking systems I want to protect. I want my credit protected. But
Yes.
the craziest thing about all this
Credit.
is
Yes.
that we need to bring it all together, right? And I think this is where we're going to have fun with this podcast. Like, we will review all the antivirus softwares out there, right? And we will tell you what
Right.
are the differences in these companies, in these platforms. We will tell you all the Wi-Fi routers out there, what kind of security they have built in, and what you can and can't use, what you should and shouldn't use, what you right. You want to keep your life simple at the end of the day, right? No
Right.
one wants to turn into an IT admin for their house. Who has the time for that?
No. And you don't have the time, right? Right. Yeah, I mean, there's an issue of time. There's an issue of complexity. There's an issue of understanding. And frankly, like even the guys or the gals, or the people, or the humans who have designed Wi-Fi routers, they don't even
Some of them
understand all
don't,
the
right? Some
features
product
within it,
managers are just
right?
truly, especially
Yeah.
on the consumer level products, are almost like
Right.
checking off a menu box of functionality that the product can have on it.
Exactly. 100%. And then they say, oh, for
That's
FCC
right,
and for
and you're done,
certification, we check
right?
these
Yeah,
boxes, we're done,
yeah.
right? And we're out, right? But again, we're not
No, I
saying
think this is
something that
something. The interesting thing
people
is,
already
look,
don't
all
know
our
about,
friends
right?
and all our neighbors. I think the entire world, not just the United States. I was about to say the United. Truly,
Yeah.
the entire world is asking these
Yeah.
questions, and I
Yeah.
think there's a level of advanced
Yeah.
understanding that people now do have about security. Well, I know for
Yeah.
sure,
Or
like
they know it's important, right?
Google is
Period.
forcing a lot of their customers to turn on two-factor authentication. Right? Some banks you can't even log
Right.
into without.
So log in. So so just two-factor authentication in layman's term is that it's something that you know and something that you have. So something that you know is typically a password, which we're all very familiar with, where if you go to a banking app, you enter in your username and password and you get access, right? Now, two-factor adds another factor, which is something that you have. And it's usually an SMS text on your phone, which has been one of the most common methods of doing it. Yet it's also in recent years become less secure than installing perhaps a application like Google Authenticator is one of the apps that you can download, which allows you or which generates a code every
Yeah.
time uh, dynamically, and it's time boxed, and you can
Yeah.
enter that, and that's your second
Right. So
factor
it went
of
from
getting into a
the two
website.
factor,
So that's the two
what you're
factor.
saying is like one factor is my username password, but obviously we have all had
Right,
our username password stolen time. I mean, even
right, or hacked or
everyone in the
available on
US
the
has.
dark
Like
web.
everyone remembers
Right.
just a couple of years ago when
Yes.
Experian was hacked. All
Experian.
our
Yes.
personal social security,
Yes.
every American's data was leaked,
Everything
right? And then Experian
was leaked. Yeah.
quickly ran around that, and they gave us free service. And the free service was to protect your identity.
Correct. Correct.
Equifax.
Was it Experian? I think it was
We got to
Equifax.
correct that.
You
Sorry,
have to.
Experian.
Yeah, it was
Um,
Equifax. Yeah.
it's a good name drop for you, but
Yeah.
it was
And
Equifax.
we'll do
Yeah.
another one, right? Yeah.
So
Yep.
in
Yeah.
any case, does it
Yep.
matter
Yep.
which one? I would almost guarantee you, again, no offense to anyone, but if I did a search of what financial institutions have recently been hacked, they're all gone. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
you know,
There'd be a
and
significant number of them.
we'll put this in our overview at the end of this. We're going to name drop a lot of tech and a lot of things, and then right, we'll make sure you guys have access to anything that we
Right.
say here today. So I was about to drop in
Right.
the MI Pond website. Like you can jump on there and see if your data has been breached. Right? You just simply put in your
Yes.
email address and it'll yes.
Email
It's
address.
just email address, and you
It's
can
just
well
email
all your
address, and
email
they'll tell
whatever
you.
email address you use
Right.
for your financial records, put it on email.
Yes. Yes. It's funny. You don't even need social
Yeah,
security numbers anymore. You can just search through email addresses,
and you can print it off.
which obviously we'll discuss a lot of it is how do you protect your
I'm telling you,
email,
and it all
right? And
starts
what's
with
the best way to
identity,
do it?
right? And folks, what we'll do is,
Right.
um, right now we're doing a bit of an introduction of us and some of the things that we're going to talk about. But in future episodes, we will be very topical with a hey, let's dive deeper into, for instance, AI. Right? How does it impact me, my life? How does it
Right.
impact my identity or social media? How does it impact my children, my parents? Right? How do I
Right.
protect them from overexposing, um, from people just being nefarious? I mean, there's just a lot of scammers out there. There's all that on the mild side. There's scammers. On the bad side, there's just pedophiles. There's just bad people out there.
Yeah. There are people
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. There are people who pretend to be like your long lost relative trying to scam money out of you, which happens all the
And
time,
do my
especially
parents love
with
hearing
the
from
older
their
generation.
long lost cousin, right? I mean, right? It's just you don't know how to tell them, hey, that is not
Yeah.
actually your friend named so and so. That how well then you got to explain
That's
how
not
did they get this info.
right. Yeah.
So look,
It's
we're not going to dive into it now.
exactly. And then
Oh my
suddenly
god,
you're
yeah, pay
off
me
like
five
five
thousand
thousand
dollars.
dollars, right? Yeah, because
Horrible, man.
your nephew's not feeling
Yeah,
well.
so look, this is going to be a fun podcast. We're going to jump into all those things. I mean, we'll talk about some identity stuff. But I think what's going to be most useful is we'll talk about some of the latest news that we're hearing everywhere. Like, and maybe we should have this conversation.
Right,
Like recently, Google has been all over the place. The FBI is putting out warnings, both of them around privacy, right? Google is saying, hey, do not use your text, your phone for SMS messages, which really means just you're getting a text, um, as a multi-factor. Use something else, right? And I know you said Google Authenticate. I don't know if I trust Google Authenticator. I mean, not that there's anything
Authenticator.
wrong with it or it's been hacked, but to me, I'm do I want to put all my eggs in one basket? Do I want to use my email, my authenticator, my everything all in one platform? I don't do that. I mean, you can have multiple authenticators. You can use Microsoft Authenticator. There are a lot of good vendors out there, right? You
You
can do a
can.
quick search in your Google App Store and you can find a bunch. We'll review them all for
Yeah.
you. Okta is one of the
Yeah.
best ones
Okta
out there.
has one.
Duo is another
Yeah.
fantastic one out there, right?
Right.
Um,
Duo.
but there
Right. Yeah.
there's some authenticators out there, right? And maybe what we should do is do a demo. Folks, give us some feedback. Let us know if you'd like us to demo any of this stuff, right? It'll show you how it works. Um, but you know what it comes down to, Vivek? And I think I think I'm probably I just laugh at myself. Like, I don't know how many accounts I have, right? I don't know how many applications. Yeah, right.
Email
How many
accounts or bank
applications I've
accounts?
signed up for. I swear, man. I've signed up for hundreds of applications, without a doubt, right? And I think I'm smarter than I am. Meaning, I'll sit there and I'll come up with this killer password, and until I need to sign up again, sign in again, right? I'll come up with a cool password and I'll
Eh,
use all the
Yeah.
tricks, right? The uppercase, lowercase. I'll use the sentence and
Yeah. The
I'll break it
exclamation
down and I'll
or
use
everything.
explanation
Yeah.
periods, the at sign for the A. I'll do some cool stuff, numbers mixed in there for letters,
Right.
right?
Right.
I'll put, everyone has changed their E into a three. We know this, but the
An I into a one.
no one does that. What? I know no one does password one two
What?
three.
Yeah.
No, no, no.
Oh, they don't. It's funny enough, the Equifax
That's
hack
right.
was
And it
because
was the
there was
password
a
one two
server
three.
left in South America, and the
It was
password was
password. Oh, they didn't
password.
even bother with the
It
one
was
two three.
password, and then
Like,
they
who's gonna
hacked in,
go
and
that far?
no, 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 and they walked in, and they suddenly had access to hundreds of millions of American citizens in the social security.
Honestly, I was looking at this not long
The
ago. I think it was
classic.
Poneman Report or one of the security reporters out there, and I think password one two three is the highest used password in the world.
Yeah,
But
lowercase password 123. Just to
if
be
you use
clear.
password and your date of birth at the end, let you know. Let me just tell you right now, it's not going to take that long to crack it. I'm sure I can go to your Facebook account or your
It's
social
not going to
media
take
account
you.
of any
Yeah,
sort and look you up and find out what year you were born. I would might not even need to look at the account. I might just look at your username and Jenny64 or whatever it is. Kind of an
I
old, you
think
don't think Jenny
64 would
was
be
born in
a
64 is
safe
on
guess.
Facebook. But the point there being is that don't we'll get into all that. And honestly,
Right.
I would say just scratch your password, get rid of your password, just do a password app, right? But people are scared of that because
Yeah.
it can be cumbersome, and I love
Yeah.
that word because in itself it is a cumbersome word, but it can be cumbersome because
Yeah.
how do I use it? And again, this is where I think we go back to our conversation. We decided to do this podcast because some of this tech is so easy to get a hold of. It is so easy to use, but I think there's some
Yes.
hesitation on
Yes.
some people's end on why or how or
No, no. I'll be frank. I don't use a password manager, right, of sorts, because it's cumbersome. And the other one is this new thing where iPhones. Well, I use an iPhone, and they say, "Hey, can we generate a password for you?" And I'm
and
like, "Why
what
is iPhone
happens
going
with
to
this
generate a password?"
20 character password when I'm on a browser.
Exactly. So then I'm like, no, I'll just, create my own.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm a culprit of it, right? Even
Yeah,
I don't
look,
follow
letting
those
your phone
principles,
generate a
right?
password is probably not the right thing, even though it is as long as you're using your phone for that password, you're good, right? If you're always opening that
Yeah,
app on your phone, that
yeah, yeah,
level of encryption that comes with that password is unbeatable. The problem is that hey, we're multi-device people, right? So that won't work.
yes,
That's where things like one password comes in handy, right? Right, and then that you sign into it
yeah.
with a regular username password. You do your
Dude, one,
multi-factor, but what? But you turn on
yeah, but
you can have it widgets into your browsers. You can have it across multiple platforms.
it's still
Yeah,
cumbersome, man. Both of them, LastPass and one password. Just using it is just like,
yeah,
oh, enter
I
your
hear you.
master
I hear you.
password. Now enter this and then
I hear
enter
you
that.
because
And then the
that
plugins don't work, right? Maybe there's a market for like a simple password manager, which, you know, like, but then there's always this balance of security, right? User experience versus security, right? There's never been a perfect combination. You got to sacrifice one for
I
the other.
you know what I haven't mentioned this yet, but folks, what we'll also do is we'll bring experts from the industry in here, right? We'll bring people who come
Yeah,
from
yeah,
all these different companies that we're chatting about, and we'll talk to them, and we'll get demos from them, and we'll get just the state of the industry type conversations.
right.
We'll have these
Yeah,
conversations with these people. I promise you, it won't be just Vivek and I yapping away as we are now. Um, but we will go down this journey together. I think it's going to be a fun journey. You know, ultimately, I think if I just summarize it again, there are some serious problems these days, right? We've almost become accustomed to the fact that our data has been breached every week,
yes.
man.
On a regular basis,
Every
right?
week, everywhere.
Every
I don't
week,
hear
right?
reports.
You hear
I have
reports.
LifeLock. I get my alerts. I have whatever app I use. There's multiples out there. I get
Yeah,
alerts on a weekly basis and phone calls
yeah,
sometimes that hey, your data has been
yeah,
breached. We just
yeah.
found your username, and I look into it and like, dang it, now I got to go change that password.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it happened to me once. I was using Netflix, and suddenly I get an alert from Netflix that someone in Tunisia is using your account. I'm like, Tunisia? I've never been to Tunisia. And I was like, oh,
Oh, my
someone
data is
found it
out
on the
there.
dark web. Oh,
Yeah,
and I'm like, the first thing I did was change my Netflix password. I'm like, well, someone
yeah.
leaked something
And
somewhere,
you know
right?
what? Look,
Yeah.
the reality is
Yeah.
that there's the data that gets breached. Okay. Meaning, so, but that's not all I'm trying to solve for.
Yes.
Personally, in my life and my kids' life, man. So, I know my data is going to get stolen. And I think my passwords are strong enough
Right.
and I change them often enough where, especially on the areas that matter, like my email, my
Right. Uh,
financial, and I have two
and
factor,
you have
right?
two factor.
Which, by the
Yes.
way,
And
I
you have
have
your two
changed
factors.
recently almost all my accounts away from SMS as a result of this new. But
Right. Right.
there's something way more nefarious out there, to, in my opinion, right? Look, there's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I recommend everyone out there read the book Data and Goliath. You ever read that book? Dude, um, Data
No,
and
I haven't.
Goliath. It's an eye opener,
Data and
right?
okay. That's
And
such a cool title for a book.
it'll open people's eyes to the fact it's by Bruce Schneier, man. Dude, that guy's an amazing book,
Bruce Shiner's book.
amazing
Yes.
author, right?
Yeah.
He's
But
written
Bruce
a
is
lot of
himself
books,
an
but
amazing
this
author.
one hits home because what most people don't realize, and this is what I mean by more nefarious, is that we are the product. Humans are the product. The data that we generate is valuable and it is being sold. And there are countless amounts of companies out there who are collecting our data and trying to figure out what it is that we like, what it is
Yes.
that we like to buy. Right? But it's even more
Yes.
nefarious. It's even more nefarious than that.
Which
Like we all
everyone
know this.
talks
Like
about.
I can guarantee you, I'm going to give the audience here a second. How many times have you mentioned a product? and then you got an advertisement or a vacation spot. Oh, I love Hawaii. And then before you know it, your Alexa is telling you about prices or vacation spots and airline tickets in Hawaii,
Of
right? So
airline
that we've
tickets,
all
yeah.
become accustomed to.
All right. Or if it's not Alexa, it's your browser. If it's not your browser,
There's
it's
like
your
10,
phone.
there's a
Or if it's not
minimum
your
of
phone,
10
it's
apps
your
on my
email.
phone that are all listening.
Right.
All of them, all the meta
That are
apps.
listening. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to call out
Yes.
CEOs. All the meta apps,
No.
right? All the Google apps. Okay. Between those two, those are like at least
Right.
5, 6 apps that you have on your phone, right? Just between those two. I have WhatsApp, I have Insta, I have Facebook, I have
Yeah.
Google,
And,
I have Google search,
and you know
I
what?
have
It's in their,
Waze
if you read
Maps,
their
I
privacy
have,
policy,
dude, it's just
it,
endless.
yeah. No, but if you look at the privacy policy, they say we are collecting
You're
data
letting
for
them,
insights, and
dude, but
and
that's the
you
thing.
accept
But so
that
in any
privacy,
case, so
and
let's
you're
talk.
letting them, right?
It's not
It's not
illegal, and
illegal. It's something
but it
that's
is,
in a
but you are
privacy
the
policy
product,
that you
right?
accept,
It's
right?
not illegal. We're look.
Yes, correct.
I have Alexas all over my house. Bro. I'm not. I know it's happening, right?
Yeah,
I carry my phone everywhere I go.
yeah,
I
yeah,
know it's recording. I know it's listening. I know. Oh,
right.
I take it back. Let's be very careful here.
Yes, right.
It is not recording. It is listening. Two totally different things.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it's not
okay,
like you
fair
can
enough. But where is
call,
that going
the
into? That
CIA or
listening?
Facebook and say, "Hey, remind me what I said at 2:20 on the day of," like that's not happening.
Are you
Anyway,
sure?
look, let me go down my
You
nefarious
can't
trail.
call and
Let
say
me go down one.
no, no. Can't you go and say, look, my wife was complaining about me. Could you confirm at
Can
two
you settle
twenty
this
p.m.?
argument
This
with
is
me and
what I
my wife?
told my wife.
Yeah.
Please settle this
It
argument,
happened
Alexa, aka
between X
whoever
and
else is on
Y
the other.
on the day of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh
On
my
the
God.
day off, right? Between two
Look,
twenty and
but
2:22
seriously,
p.m.
we are the product, and people need to know what that means, right? I think
Yeah,
people need to know
right,
that
right.
our data is being collected at an aggressive. Just about everything Vivek and I are doing and talking about right now has created a boatload of metadata that
It's being
says
collected,
Salah Vivek talking about these topics and and being correlated with other
right?
things, right?
Yeah, and this is where they're
Tons of stuff,
located.
right?
This is the
This
IP
is how often they
address.
chat.
This is
Yeah.
the time.
Yes.
This is the
Right.
computer they're on.
It's all
Right.
being collected and
It's all
correlated,
being
and
collected, right? Yeah,
our
and
buddy
correlated.
the AI, right? I'll just call them all. I'll put them all under
Yeah,
our buddy AI,
small umbrella.
artificial intelligence, right? All of the
Our
artificial
future
intelligences, by
overlords.
the way,
Yes.
our every app that we use is now the big ones like the Googles and the Facebooks and the Netflixes and the
Yeah.
Amazons.
Yeah.
They're all Microsoft, Apple. They
Right.
all have ridiculously powerful AIs on the
Everyone.
back end with task task
Yeah.
oriented.
Correlating.
Yes.
Yeah, and the speed of
Yes.
correlation has just gone up exponentially thanks to AI. Because one of the best thing AI does is pattern recognition. And the moment that model figures out pattern recognition, you can't beat it. Like the scale that it does it
So
in
you
and the
got all
speed,
these
it's
apps
yeah,
collecting your data,
yeah.
and it's all for your benefit. And you know what? Some people truly believe it is for their benefit, and I'm not against that. Like I've seen
Right,
a
right.
trend on social media where people are saying, "Look how cool this is." Ask, your favorite GPT, ask it what book should I read, or
Yeah,
ask it to give a personal analysis. And people love that
exactly.
stuff. It's
Yeah.
recommending books
Or,
based on what it thinks the
uh
type of person that you are.
you are.
I don't know, man.
You
Is
are.
anyone else
Yeah.
freaked out about it? Do you really want an average app collecting that much data on you where it knows your personality? It's predicting what you're going to buy next. Folks, that's not a hard thing to do. Your credit card records are easy to access. I don't want to know what you bought or how much it was, right? That is just I'm looking at the metadata of your shopping. I'm looking at your location, how much time you spend in different stores. I'm looking at your Amazon buying trends. I'm looking at your searches and how much you search for cars, whatever it may be, parts of cars. cars, and then all of a sudden I'm getting ads of these parts of cars. I'm getting ads about something that might be coming up,
Of
right? It's like,
of a
hey,
sale somewhere which you never
you
thought
bought a
of.
car
Right.
5
Yeah.
years ago. Why am I suddenly seeing a bunch of ads for new cars, right? These things are predicting, but is that convenient or is that freaky? For like,
Depends who you ask.
how do you think society sees this? Is it
I mean,
convenient
for
or is
someone
it
who
freaky?
values,
Is it scary? Is it intrusive? Is it, Big Brother? I'm using another reference. We should explain Big Brother, but is it Big Brother? Yeah. Is
very
it
1984
yeah,
ish.
an Orwellian 1984 type of thing, right?
Yeah. The only difference is who is 1984? Who is that guy? Is it the government or
So
is
the
it
idea of
private companies?
1984 is a
Right?
book that
Is it
was
both?
written
Is it
about what life is going to be like in 1984. And it's this big brother that has
in
eyes on you
1984?
through the television, and then your life is very much controlled by Big Brother. So
Controlled.
we started going down the nefarious aspect of the data being collected, but there's nefarious aspects of your data being used against you by governments.
Yeah. I mean,
Do governments use this against us?
I mean, we could
It's a
go down
paranoid
that
path.
path, but it's a bit
But
paranoid.
the point is, it comes back down to, oh, we're definitely going to have that
You're the
conversation.
product.
What we need to bring in someone from the industry, someone an expert in
Someone,
this area.
yeah,
Data and Goliath, if you're out there, Mr. Bruce, and you want to jump on a podcast, we need to talk to someone that knows this in incredible detail. Because my point is not to make people paranoid, but your data is being looked at by our government, probably by a lot of other governments. And I will leave it with just one conversation.
yeah,
It happened ages ago, but it's just a sign, again, just for people to know your data is being collected, it is being correlated, and this was pre AI, right? Where a lady who goes on Amazon and buys a backpack and a pressure cooker, and she happens to be Muslim. And this happened like within a day or two after the Boston terror, Boston Marathon terrorist
Boston
attack,
Marathon.
right? And the FBI broke down her front door, or somebody did. I think it was the FBI broke down her front, right? They correlated that.
It's
It's
the
kind of
FBI.
cool on the back end. They're like, yeah, okay, good, they're looking. But at the same time, like, hey, they're actually looking.
They're looking. They're looking.
Here's the double-edged sword of, oh,
Yeah.
right on, man. Yeah, our boys got them. It's like, whoa, wait a minute, our boys are.
Yeah.
What else are they correlating? What else do they know or think they know about me?
Exactly. Yeah, and then civil liberties will say that, hey, because she was of a particular religion, she
Indubitably,
was
man.
targeted.
Indubitably, without a doubt. And
There's
and a
all
lot of
this.
without a doubt.
There's
And look, there's arguments to both sides. I don't want to get political about it. There's the
100%.
good, bad, and the ugly. There's the good, bad, and the ugly of trusting our government to just be our government. So let's just leave that alone for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll
Leave it
we'll
at
dive
that.
into it. We
We
will
will have. We'll
absolutely
have.
have
We'll,
these
we'll get
conversations.
someone
Look,
else who can
we'll
talk
talk
about it.
about the cool tools that are out there. At minimum, every person should be using like 3 tools. I can think right off the bat, like every person, like
Yes.
we should talk to people about how to protect identity from end to end, right? How to protect
How
yourself,
to
how
protect
to protect
yourself.
your kids, how to protect your parents, your grandparents, right? We should talk about how to limit exposure. When is it okay to share data? When is it not okay to share data? Like, does the government or Amazon really know what date night consists of with you and your wife? Is that something you want to share? Does the government or the industry, the advertisers need to know what is going on in your conversation when you go visit with your doctor? Right? There are all these things that you should
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Should social media have access to your banking information? Right? Should 1-800-Flower or Grammarly, that you have widgets in your browser, should they have access to your bank? And right now they do. I can guarantee you, if you're using that browser to jump into your banking information, using the same browser you're looking at social media, they have access.
They do.
So just basic things, right?
They have
I think we
access.
should dive
Yeah.
into all of them. I think we should do product reviews because look, at the end of the day, we're still just a couple of geeks that love to have fun. I still want to get the most powerful phone out there, and
Yeah.
I want to talk about why. I want to get the best Wi-Fi out there.
Yeah.
And do I really need,
Yeah.
6A mesh, or can I just get away with what I currently have? Depends how big,
That's how
depends
big
on the
your house is,
applications, depends on what are you trying to do.
I mean, you want Wi-Fi under the
Yeah,
hood
right.
when
Do
you're
you,
selling.
exactly. Hey,
Taking
look,
TikTok
you think
underwater.
it's funny, but hey, my GoPro has Wi-Fi and it could be accessed when I need to live stream my GoPro when I'm underwater. Um, yeah. No, seriously,
Underwater,
these
right?
are
Yeah.
all
There you go.
interesting questions. They're all fun tech questions, and I really just can't wait. I really can't wait to jump into all these topics. I mean, there's so much
Yeah.
for us to chat about.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also want to thank people who are listening to our podcast. We hope that we take you through a journey of our learning in the security and privacy space, which we're still learning. And it's just going to be a fun journey. And, and we'll get a lot of guests, fun guests, people whom we worked with, people who
Yes.
we love to have worked with through this
People in
journey,
politics.
comedians.
And
Yes.
I just want to hear everyone's angle. I really want to hear everyone's angle.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think everyone wants to hear. I think
Yeah.
everyone should hear different perspectives because, and I think we're going to bring
Yes.
in the tech conversation. We're going to dive deeper in a non-technical way, folks. I'm not, we don't need to get into any code
Right.
on anything, but I think the social impact of tech, and then on the baseline, like what tech should you be using? What tech can you use? What options out there? Has anyone reviewed all my children's apps that I'm letting them use? Should I use an iPhone or should I use a flip phone to
Yeah.
give to my kids? We'll dive into all those topics, right?
Yeah.
We'll leave you with some tidbits. We do have a website, which you should visit. We have a Patreon that you should follow us on. We want to make this as interactive as possible, and then that way we can personalize this to also what you guys want.
100%.
Thank you.
Cool.
Until next time.
Thanks for listening.